Hi, my name is Winsley, and welcome to my video diving into screenshots from Age of Wonders 4 streams, videos, and dev diaries. This week I have Rommel as my guest. Hey, thanks for being here. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm quite excited to record this video. This is basically like a compilation of all the really interesting things that I've seen over the past I want to say 2 months or month and a half, um, while watching the Age of Wonders streams, the gameplay streams, and these other videos that other YouTubers have been producing. I don't know about you, but when I'm watching these streams, I kind of go into a bit of an information overload where I just start to miss a lot of the great, interesting details that they're being very transparent and showing off because I'm thinking about the implications of certain mechanics that they just breeze by in like 1 or 2 seconds. They'll like pull up a little like text box, a little tooltip, and it'll be gone, and I'll just be thinking about that for the next like 3 or 4 minutes. So I went back and I took a bunch of screenshots of those mechanics from the streams and the videos and the dev diaries, and I will be including a lot of timestamps too in individual mechanics. So if you want to look at the timestamps and jump to anything in particular, please feel free to. Um, I'll be posting a list of these images on my video thread on the official Age of Wonders 4 forum. A link will be in the description in case you just want to like look at the images or look at them while I'm talking about them in this video. Um, Important disclaimer, we are looking at screenshots from early builds of the game, and a lot of the numbers we are likely going to that we're going to see are likely to change before the game actually releases, and even afterwards a lot of these details are likely to go through a couple pretty significant changes, kind of like how they reworked the economic system in Age of Wonders Planetfall. I think that was before you started playing Age of Wonders Planetfall, right, Rommel?
Yeah, but I think we need to take Age of Wonders 3 and Age of Wonders 2 and search difference between these games, not between Planetfall and Age of Wonders 4,
Right.
because Age of Wonders 4 is very similar, like by setting, by basic stuff with Age of Wonders 3. So yeah, most of things like in Age of Wonders 3. In Planetfall, it was like a more complete, more big, like more heavy mechanic, more difficult mechanic about this, city position and unit spam. And in this game, I think it will be like quite different.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about Triumph is how much they're willing to listen to the community and tweak certain things if people are vocal enough about it, and it's something they can, obviously change within a reasonable amount of time. Basically, just to like give people a slow overview of the order that we're going to go through this, I think we'll start with screenshots from the dev gameplay streams, the gameplay streams that were run by the developers over at Triumph, and then we'll go over screenshots from Quill and Party Elite's videos that came out last week before we end up discussing Explorminate's thoughts on the game after playing for more than 50 hours. I do have a few other images in there that I want to talk about that don't fit neatly into those three like categories, but they're usually related to the stuff that I want to talk about in the streams. Around where I put them in the list of the document. For example, this picture right here, the Anvil Guard, is from one of the dev diaries that came out the same day that they were showing off how the Industrious faction works, which is kind of like the Dwarven faction, or it's kind of like it fits in that trope and expectations for like what dwarves would have. They'd be tanky, probably have a lot of gold or something like that, and you know, uh, damage isn't
First
like
of
their
all,
main focus. It's more about like taking damage and then
first of all,
retaliating.
I want to say that we have books, like books of enchantment. We will talk about it later. Like
Hmm.
we talked about it in previous videos, but we'll talk like specifically about them later. And they can correct your game style because we have defensive books, like was in this stream with dwarfs, and we have offensive books.
Hmm.
For
You mean the
example, the book.
tomes, I think, right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, Okay, I will call Toms like
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah. Okay, so
But yeah,
what
tomes
we
were
can say?
things that
We can
came
say
up.
that yes, we have this Tom, and Tom with enchantment that gives plus damage or plus defense. And yeah, I like the main idea of these units is the positioning on the battlefield.
Hmm.
Like you have more defense because you positioned your shield guys close together. Because we have something like that in Planetfall, but it's very like that. It's mods stuff or defensive mods of some units like tank of Promethean tank.
Hmm.
Gives the all around units additional defense, or like Kirka swarming shields,
Yeah, I was
something
gonna
like that.
say the Kirko Swarming Shield gives +1 shield, and the Oathbound, like Oath of Devotion, I think it is, or something like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that, gives
yeah.
+1 armor for a unit being adjacent. It may have been that
But
it used to stack, and then they changed it.
the main thing that in Planetfall we have a lot of production bonuses
Hmm.
that is very likely more important than these buffs.
Yeah.
These buffs are just like good. We can do it if we need to.
Have we seen a
But
lot of locations that boost your armor? I don't think they've shown off too many locations yet, right?
yeah, and I'm talking about that in this game. I think it will be like your game mechanic, like main game mechanic. So you need to position your units to get max bonuses from the positioning,
Hmm.
like army position. So you need to like think about the strategy. Maybe like if we will, I think we will watch them later. Like in this development stream, we'll have like Golem,
Right.
like unit without moral.
Hmm.
Like we have moral stuff. Like we can go a little bit lower,
Yeah,
and
we
you
can
have
find that part.
moral,
I think
moral. Yeah, moral,
morale.
moral. Okay, so we have fumble chance 20. Like we see that it's 20 because it's minus 30. But
Hmm.
moral is high, you have additional crit chance. But this guy from the stream, the Golem, doesn't
Hmm.
have moral. So it will be cool for him to stand on the front line because he will not like fumble or do bad things. He will
Yeah,
just stand and tank.
I was thinking
Stand and tank.
we
I
can
think it's
show off this guy here. This is the one you're talking about. I was thinking we'd talk about him more later when we were talking about more of the like other late game units.
yeah. Let's talk about him later. Okay,
But you
but
are right that positioning is very important for this faction, the Industrious faction. I think that these guys, they all want to be able to stand next to each other for not just the shield wall, but there's this thing that this unit, the Bastion, gets, which is something they were gonna put in the gameplay stream, but I believe the person playing the game forgot to end up building this guy, and he's cool because instead of having the taunt that the Anvil Guard comes with, um, yeah, see that second ability, it says taunt. He can like make people attack him instead of other units. The Bastion gets a bonus that benefits everybody around him. He's even more defensively focused. He's a tier 3, whereas the Anvil Guard is a tier 1. So overall, he's just going to be better. I think the 2 resistance and 7 armor just is coming from the fact that he is a bigger unit or a higher tier unit. But there's also like a twist in how this guy is supposed to interact with the units on the battlefield. He can do offense. He's not terrible at it, but he's more there to try and inspire people using this inspiring defense mechanic where
yeah,
when they go
you
in defensive mode, it gives
him.
bolstered defense, which I think is just like +1 armor for the rest of the
Yeah,
combat,
yeah.
unless it gets sundered, which is a thing. That's a mechanic.
You can position him on the center of your army and give them all bonus.
Hmm.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And if you want to tank, you can go and tank with him. It's pretty cool. We can talk about like double retaliation, yeah,
Hmm.
which we have on this stream. It's like one of the specific things that you developer got from when he built his character.
Yeah.
And I think this guy will go in defensive mode, and after that will retaliate twice.
I forget where it is in the list. I was going to talk about how
Yes,
defensive
that's
modes
the
can't be
strategy.
canceled because it's kind of related to what the Anvil Guard and the Bastions are known for doing. They can go into their defensive mode, but once you do that, you can't undo that and do like an attack or something like that because a lot of people in Planetfall they would use barrages and enforcers as a ability to make it so that units that would run through an Overwatch, whether
Mm.
that be melee or ranged, don't take damage um, while they're still attacking. Whereas like these defensive modes that give defensive bonuses are really designed to be implemented um, when you're getting attacked, well, not while it's still your attack and you're like mitigating these retaliations or overwatches. It is kind of related to what you were talking about. But it's different because now you can't really abuse that mechanic to lessen the damage. And I think this should work more as intended. The fact
Mhm.
that specifically it looks like at least the special defensive modes, when you do that it ends your turn, and I don't think we've seen anybody go into defensive mode and then cancel it. It could just be that it's like Planetfall where regular defensive modes aren't gonna like lock a unit down and you can kind of play around with ideas. But I kind of like the idea of once you enter defensive mode, your unit's in that spot. I think that it.
See, okay, let's see about these defensive modes of Shaman. The
Hmm.
defensive mode is cool. It's like a part of the like you really need to think to attack or do defensive mode. Because in Planetfall, well, our defensive mode, basic defensive mode, it's minus 25 to attack you,
Hmm.
and that's all. But look at that. You have +2 defense, +2 resistance, immune to flanking, so you can be flanked.
Yeah,
And all addition units have +3 resistance and status resistance.
I don't
So,
know if you can break the immune to flanking. Like that's pretty good if like that's just gonna stick on that unit until the next turn.
yeah, that's unit in defensive mode can't be killed from flanking, like how it is be if he can be flanked. So
Hmm.
it's cool. The defensive mode maybe will be an option, not like just to end your turn, but in the middle of the fight, you really will think like to attack or to do defensive mode to like more survive, to your units to survive more, because some of course will attack, but particularly this one. For example, you are fighting against uh, units with magic damage,
Hmm.
no physical. So +3 resistance for all adjacent units, maybe it will be cool to give it to them.
Yeah. I don't think that would apply to the unit doing the defensive mode. They just get the +2 armor and +2 resistance. Whereas it's interesting that the friendly units only get one of those things. They get the resistance from the War
But
Shamans
+3,
one. And yeah, you're
the
right.
point
The
is,
status resistance is a pretty big deal. I don't think I got an opportunity to take a screenshot of the other defensive mode, so I'm not sure if it's armor and something else, but I would think it would make sense to be two things, right?
yeah, they made defensive more stronger. And
Hmm.
I don't know what, like, if we go back to war, what is excavation? Like, it really was interesting, but they didn't show up. What is it?
It's interesting
They
because
excavate.
there's Mystic's Arcane Echoes, I want to say, which is going to be pretty
No,
similar to prospecting.
maybe it's prospecting, but why every unit has prospecting?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I hadn't noticed that. That's in all of the the industrious ones. That's cool. Did you notice that they have undo movement in the game? I was
Mm-hmm.
nervous for a second because when I was looking for that button, I couldn't see it, or I thought that first big circle next to the defensive mode and a little bit before the attack, I thought that was saying undo movement, but that's actually facing. If you click that button, that allows you to turn your character model to be facing the way it was, or a little bit left, or a little bit right, or all the way around to the other direction. The undo button is hidden next to morale. It's just left of that mask, or the little frowny face there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like that a lot. I think that was a really player friendly, user friendly addition to Age of Wonders Planetfall. I'm not sure if it's going to work exactly the same way because in Planetfall you could only use one unit. and you could only undo one single unit's movement. You couldn't go back 2 movements or 3 movements, which I think could really draw out multiplayer games if you actually allow people to move things around like that. But there's a couple situations where you're like, oh, I forgot I moved that unit, and now he's stuck in a terrible position.
Mm, like I don't like what we see like to undo the all turn. I
Yeah.
like what is like how it was in Plan 4 when you undo only one unit turn.
Hmm.
Like if he didn't get damage, of course.
Right.
And uh, but I don't like the idea if it will be in multiplayer. I will ask somebody to make a mod to block it,
Yeah.
like to undo the whole turn. Yeah, like it will be terrible.
I don't
Yeah.
know if they have an undo a whole turn, because that would be really interesting. But we do know for a fact that they do
No,
have a redo battle button for, I think,
no,
single
no,
player
no.
focus.
We saw it on the first stream.
Yeah,
Like did it, but I think it will be for single player.
would make a lot of sense. I think it's going to save a lot of people time in loading screens, or not
Yeah.
having to deal with loading screens. We already
Mm.
talked about the facing button. This is a mechanic that's been in Age of Wonders games for a while. I don't think they've put it on the unit ability bar.
Mm.
I think you used to have to press a key to get that up, like R or something. That sounds right. But I think that this is an important mechanic, so it's nice that they've kind of placed it up front and center for newer players.
So yeah, and next screenshot, it's Wizard King ability. They can use a second spell per turn. Like we have like a turn, and the commander, like we have Warlord and Wizard King. The Warlord can do only one spell, but Wizard King can spend his turn with single action, so he can position himself
Hmm.
and use another magic stuff. It's cool. It's cool. Like we have some tomes, for example, frozen tome, like we have in first video, that make units frozen. So it's you can like to freeze 2 units instead of one.
Hmm.
So it's control stuff. Yeah, I like it.
It's interesting to me because it reminds me of how spells worked in Age of Wonders 3. I think when you wanted to use a spell, a hero had to like say, "Okay, I'm spending my turn making a spell
Mhm.
happen." So you do have the ability to do something like that as a Wizard King, but it's also similar to Planetfall, where it's like just like you have one operation that you can cast one per turn, and it doesn't eat up a unit's action point. So if you would really want to, you can do both, but that's only available to Wizard Kings. Mortal Champions, they've got other things going for them other than Overchannel. Their focus is more on gold and I think support units, rather than magic and just supporting
I,
with that
you know,
instantaneous like
I, I
spell
think like
effects.
if in Planetfall will be a leader who could do two like spend his turn and do another tactical operation per turn, it will be like everybody would take
Yeah, right.
it.
Yeah, no, it sounds really good, and I think main limitation here is going to be mana. Like at a certain point, it's kind of like
Yeah.
people don't want to waste their gold. Like there's going to be situations where it's like, yeah, okay, you could use a spell to clear this like quickly
Yeah.
and maybe slightly more safely, but is it really effective? Is that the best use of mana? Maybe not.
No,
Maybe
no,
it's like a
because
trap. It's a trick.
yeah, because like everybody know, it's like similar with Age of Wonders 3. Mana is spending for you magical units,
Hmm.
and for units with we spend for uh, spells on the city and for summoning units. So the summon unit costs not a gold every turn payment. It's your mana.
I think I saw Explorminate say that there used to be a bigger problem with higher tier units just kind of being everywhere on in Age of Wonders 3. The idea is just doom stacks, just like making the lower tier units obsolete, and how he thinks that probably isn't going to be as big of a problem because of the upkeep for mythical units. I believe that they are in each one is going to require a lot of mana in order to support. So you shouldn't be able to get like 5 stacks of just
Like
mythical units without something absurd happening.
I'm I'm that guy who don't like this conversation, because if we have turn 50 and
Hmm.
your opponent have 5 stacks of mythical units,
Yeah.
why you don't have them? Like, what is your problem?
I think you've won
Why
at
you
that point. I
you
mean,
spamming
hopefully.
it through? Like,
Yeah.
obviously you will lose. Like, why are you doing it? You did
yeah, it's a complaint that I've seen other people bringing up, but like, yeah, it wasn't really a thing in Age of Wonders Planetfall, and I'm very thankful for that. I think that the changes they made to modding units and maybe experience gain and things like that really helped keep things useful in the late
I
game. But
I
I
can
feel
say to
like
you,
maybe that's less of the case. I've been
no,
reading
I can
things
say
about
to you
that. Hmm.
that the problem of doom stacks is the problem of when they come too early, not that they are existing.
Hmm.
That somebody have doom stack and you can do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I lost. Like, I can, like, on this start of the game, but if you saw, they have city limitation
Hmm.
in Age of Wonders 4.
Yeah.
Like, you have city limit, like, literally.
And every
Maybe
one you go
can
over is minus 25% income, I think, which is massive. That's a far bigger deal than going over the cap in Stellaris, and actually
like
it will
Doomsday
limit
weapon in
people.
Planet 4.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember, like, it's like Doomsday weapon, which is your opponent pushed, and now you have like this minus.
Hmm.
So this is pretty big deal, and I think that it's made that people don't have so much cities with mana resources or gold resources, so they can't do so many stacks. You know,
Yeah.
they can afford it.
So one of the
They're
interesting things that they've, I think, added in Age of Wonders 4 is the ability to take figures, or when a figure is killed on a unit, the unit deals less damage, which in my mind makes it so like the earlier game units, the smaller tier units, will become less viable a lot quicker. And I don't really understand that decision, other than it's kind of cool, it's kind of interesting, and
uh,
makes a little bit of
it,
sense.
it's Age of Wonders free decision.
Yeah.
So it's they just copied. Yeah, I really don't. It's logical, but I don't think that it's like very like well game balanced, because yeah, sure. The point is that of course tier 3 units, which is like one guy or 3 guys, are much stronger than tier 1, but tier 1 will be like even more like less stronger, because 6 guys will die like to three guys, and you will have like I must like say it about neutrals, like
Yeah.
when you fight with neutrals, not even with another player, because every fight you will have like damaged units, and if you have damaged units every fight, your like some of your damage that you can deal per turn is like become less from fight to fight.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like we can, I don't know, didn't see that you screenshotted it or not, that on the stream of developers we have seen the hero special ability when he gave a regeneration for all units, like plus 20 plus 20, 12, yeah, plus 12
Okay.
regeneration
I think I
for
saw
every
that.
unit in army, in your army. Yeah, it was maybe it when they talked about heroes, they said that they will have like 4 special abilities on level
Yeah.
5,
Yeah.
level 10, level 15, and level 20, and it was level 5 ability, as I remember.
I
So
think I have that coming up
yeah, maybe you
in
have,
this list.
yeah,
I believe I took a
and
screenshot of that. Yeah.
and it's very important, I think. you should like make a hero your army commander just to heal up units.
No, I remember thinking that sounds pretty cool. I don't want to forget my place in this. So before talking about, I think, Master Rejuvenation in the heroes, because I wanted to focus on some of like
Okay,
the implications of the implications of figures, and one of them is that you want to use heroes and mythical units a little bit more as tanks, because when they lose HP they can still do full damage. And if one of your units that does lose figures can be healed, it is slightly better to focus on healing them, but you also want to make sure that you don't like lose a mythical or a hero unit, because losing them is a bigger deal than losing a figure. So that's an interesting like uh situation that you're probably going to have come up quite often. You're like, okay, out of these units, which one is better? Well, if this one dies, then like, if it can die, then I have to heal it. But if it can't, then I heal this so we can do more damage and take less damage overall.
Now we can go back and see that the shaman and guy, dwarf tier 3 guy, have buff when he ends his turn on defensive mode. So when your guy is very damaged and you have only one guy in the stack, very low damage, you can just put him in the back and use defensive mode.
That's such a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really good like tip for people
So
when they get their units hurt.
And maybe after that you put a regeneration skill of your hero. The units regenerate on like turns when he stands in defensive mode.
Yeah.
And after that he's like going to do something else. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if he's not dead, then he can he can help.
like,
do you know how
he's
much damage is reduced by the lost figure? I think if you only have 3 out of the 6 figures, you're doing 50% damage, right?
No, percents.
Yeah.
For example, 3 units, like 3 units deal 12 damage. So
Okay.
2 units deal 8 damage.
Yeah.
It's percentage loss. So 1 unit
Makes sense.
is, yeah. It's like Age of Wonders free stuff.
Yeah. I think that there's things that can modify how much damage they do when they're lost a figure. I saw something about that in Tome of the Horde, but like that's like pretty nuanced and not gonna apply to most games or all games.
We'll talk about it later. And what I like that when you use like interface and you want to attack somebody, it will show you correct calculation of retaliation you get. For example, you like see that somebody like you know that you will kill a unit, and like not a whole unit, like some guys in this unit. So it will be 3 guys in 1 unit, and you will kill 1. So you will get retaliation from only 2 of them. But the problem is that it always calculates the normal damage, not the fumble and critical. So you still need to be like quite, how it's called,
careful. I think this is one of the RNG like elements that people kind of complained about in Planetfall. They didn't understand why they weren't doing as much damage or more damage than what the expectation was giving them, or what the tooltip was saying. And it's just because there's these things that can swing a battle one way or another, and I like that the randomness of it all. It keeps me on my feet. Next, we have the morale and routing that we talked about a little bit earlier. I don't think they've actually shown a unit in routing. I believe that when they're getting close to routing, the flag starts flashing white, and then when they're routing, it would make sense that the flag would turn completely white. And I have to imagine that once they're below 40 morale, once they're in that very low state, I believe that's when they start to route.
Yeah, it's like panic in Planetfall, I think.
Yeah.
Same. Like they just start running out of you.
What I find interesting about this tooltip in particular is it's saying one ally killed was -8 and the other one was -6. So I have to imagine higher tier units make when they die, that's a bigger deal to the overall morale. And when a lower one dies, it's like it's still something. Like,
yeah, but I think that you got plus morale when you kill your enemy units. I think so. I don't know. But it will be logical. And in this stream, he lost only 1 unit, so we didn't see it. But in big battles, when player will kill another player units and another player will kill another player units, so everybody will kill each other units. It will be like no changes.
I think, yes, routing would be really cool to route a unit. Just then the battle's basically over. They're out of the battle. It makes it a lot easier to like move forward. But the fact that a unit will have that high of a fumble chance at minus 29 morale is a pretty big deal. Like having 20% fumble chance means that if you do get that 1 in 5 situation, all of your attacks are downgraded. I believe in Planetfall it would take like a full damaging hit down to a graze, and it would take grazes down to misses, which I
Yeah.
believe they've carried over some of that for at least ranged units. I don't know how that translates into melee combat, how fumble chance could affect your melee damage, but I imagine that if you were gonna hit, and I think most melee hits like automatically, it would just do like reduced damage or something like that, right?
Yeah.
We have this free action heal that the cannibal, I want to say it's not a society trait, but it could be.
Yeah,
It's a society trait. But they get a free action
yeah, it's
heal, which is like the Promethean free action heal, which is probably one of the reasons that
no,
Promethean was my
no,
favorite.
no, it's not like Promethean action heal. Promethean action heal also dispels bad status effects from you.
Right.
But this just kill you. It's like eating corpse from first assembly tier 1 mod.
Was that a
Well,
free action, or was that not
yes,
like?
it was free action
Okay, I thought that
and
caused
kill
an
you
action point.
yeah, no, it's called no. I think no.
Okay.
No.
I'm
No.
I'm remembering it wrong then. So yeah, no, this one is closer to the assembly mod that lets you
Yeah.
consume the corpses on the ground.
Or peak ability. But peak ability also gives you some power attack.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
and yeah, it's really good ability for the start. Like
yeah.
you can corpse. But another one. Can you eat corpse, for example, of machines? No, I
hmm
think no.
Or
Of
ethereal,
elementals.
or
What?
what's the other
Um,
one? Elemental probably shouldn't be able to be consumed. It doesn't seem to indicate that that wouldn't work, but I can't
I
imagine
think
it works on most
elementals,
targets.
elementals, minerals, and like minerals. I don't know. It will have like quartzites in Planetfall. We will have some units like that in this game, but I think that they can't be consumed.
Yeah, so
Like
there's two things that in my mind make it worse than the Promethean Purification Shield. One, there's no dispel, which is like half of the reason people love the Promethean Purification Shield.
but
Yes, healing can be really nice, but dispelling status effects is massive. You know, it can take a unit that was panicked or insane and bring them back to your side. But there's also the fact that it may not apply to all of the units that you end up killing. So you think, oh, I can heal off of this. No, sorry. You're
point
just
is that it's auto ability.
mhm.
That you have this ability. First of all, I think that machines will not have this ability, so it's
Yeah.
only like unit like biological
Yeah.
ability. So, but what is cool? Every unit of your fraction has this ability,
Mhm.
so you don't need like to buff them, to enchant them, to do something with them. They already have it.
Yeah.
Like you build them and they have it. They're already good.
Makes sense. I'm
Some
not really sure how that works with free cities and Rally of the Lieges, but I could see that being like something that would apply to those units as well. I love the indications that they've changed a little bit. The fact that they've got a little skull icon when you're actually going to kill a unit is massive, because sometimes you're like, that looks like it's going to kill a unit, but maybe they're going to be left with 1 HP.
yeah.
When a unit is left with 1 HP, you often think you're going to kill it because there's nothing left on the HP bar. But then you turn around and you're like, oh god, now he can like kill another unit or something like
Uh,
that. But yeah, it's not perfect. I think like you mentioned earlier,
but
like with
You know, like,
retaliation,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. No, you no. If the unit has retaliation, you will like see that he can kill your unit, and you will not kill him. It will calculate it correctly.
Oh,
I
nice.
can say on what is not correctly is like when if you graze, you will not kill him. But it's like every planful game. It's designed like this. So
It would be
no,
nice if it
every
gave you like a percent breakdown. 10% you do this much
Mhm,
damage, 50% you do this much
mhm.
damage, 40% you do this much damage. But like that would be a
Yeah.
lot of numbers. It would be
Yeah.
incredibly helpful, and I think it would mitigate a lot of people's concern around RNG results. But I
No,
don't
I
know if it's
think
worth the work.
yeah,
You
it
can
will
make
be
that
very
sense
bad.
of that.
People like say, "What? I need to know math. What? Why this percent?" Like I go now in another game.
They
Like now new stuff in this Age of Wonders 4. Like I think it's like in Age of Wonders 3
mhm.
similar when you are pinned when you have Overwatch. Like
Yes.
you can go little. It's screenshots from the down.
Yeah.
You have it
This
with
one
your
right
pin. Yeah,
here. Mhm.
yeah. It's zone of control. So because you can't shoot anything with range unit if an enemy melee unit near you. You need like to go away one tile at
Yeah.
least. That's why your melee units have pin stuff to not like to stay in the front and not like let enemy melee units go to your archers.
Yeah,
Or
just walk right by. I think Zona controls the swords that they were showing for retaliation. Like further down here, I had a picture of the dragon. That
no,
would
zone
make
of
sense,
control is
right?
a zone of it's one tile, one hex from your unit, like hex
Oh, all
six hexes.
around. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just the swords. It's all
No,
around,
no.
right?
Maybe it's just swords. Maybe it's just yeah. It's just swords.
I
Yeah,
think
not
swords would
like
make sense. That's like where he can retaliate, where he's facing. Like if you sneak around the back, I
yeah.
feel like that would make sense for
Yeah, from the back it's
being
flanking,
safe.
so he can retaliate when he's flanking.
Hmm.
Flanking units can't retaliate for the stuff. Yeah, and but we can say that flying units have like an advantage again because they can just fly and
Oh no.
go, and go to your range units instead of like go in the zone of control.
We're
You
gonna need
know?
Oathbound in here to protect against the flying melee. Yeah, no, that's a
No,
really good point. I don't think we've seen too many flying units, but they're kind of incredibly popular for a lot of different reasons. Mobility is nice, but
no.
also like in the actual combat in the
What
tactical layer, it's
what
pretty
I'm
cool.
I have one thing that I'm afraid for,
Hmm.
that we will have some tom. I don't. I think we have some tom that gives one of the enchantment of these toms gives you like makes you units fly,
Right.
and I think it yeah, and I think it will be like tier one, tier S, like how
Yeah,
you can like name it how you want, but I think a lot of people will play with it because
definitely.
you can do units fly. They are faster on strategic map. They can make position better in tactical map.
Hmm.
So just flying, no defense, no special. The damage just flying is very cool.
No, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how like viable that is if other strategies will like take out that nation faster. I think there's
Also,
some speculation that Tome of the Horde will allow for some broken rush strategies. So like if flying is something that you can get up and running fast enough, that probably will help you deal with like the just swarm of units on coming from some players. The next thing I have here is the fact that you can easily restart combat. It used to be you'd have to click load and go through a couple menus, but they've just kind of like added a button for your convenience sake, and I don't think that's going to actually impact um,
no,
multiplayers very in any
just single
significant
player.
way.
Yeah,
It's just a
obviously.
single player convenience that they said you can toggle off pretty easily. I don't think they had something like that for undo movement, but I feel like people in the multiplayer community have some strong opinions on undo movement. Some people think that it's not great because it kind of draws out a fight, right?
Mm, no, of course you can't restart your battle in multiplayer, but
Undo
yeah,
movement though, it's
I do movement. Yeah, I think undo movement like it is designed and planned for. It's good.
yeah,
Like you need to like undo one unit that you moved. Um, movement.
it'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool if you could
So
toggle the ability to have that in the game or not. I wouldn't be opposed to that. It doesn't seem too hard to like just add a little button that says yes, undo movement is in, kind of like no colonizer mode or something like that.
now it's zone of control. We talked about it.
Yeah, I think we can move on to how AI won't target units with higher defenses if they can hit units with less defense. This is something that was, I think, that was in Age of Wonders Planetfall. If a unit has two choices of units to attack, it's going to try and kill something if it can, but if it can't, then it generally will try and do as much damage as it can. So stacking a like all of your defensive bonuses on a single unit probably isn't the best. It's better to spread it around a little bit so that when they do pick the target with less defense, they don't do as much damage as they potentially could.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing they were talking about how you want to put your hero in danger because of how tanky they are and the way figures work in general. Your hero is not going to be as easy to kill as most of your other units, at least at the beginning of the game. So throwing them a little bit further forward is generally a good idea. I think allowed this tier 3 spider to just do 3 flanking attacks, and it the unit wasn't that badly hurt. He was getting his
Oh,
defensive bonus from the pikemen, and there's more than enough to keep him alive.
it's one. It's a more important thing that I want to talk in this screenshot. Like we will not talk about this game tactics about putting your hero in danger or not. It's like every people decision by
Hmm.
his own. But look at the obstacles. As I speak to you previous
Hmm.
time, I have very like big sense and that there will be not destroyed obstacles, even small ones. I'm okay that we will have big obstacles, like or like hills, like landscape obstacles. But this is one hex obstacle, and we didn't not in any video, nobody uh, tell us or show us that they can be destroyed.
It's amazing. I'm so happy because that probably means you can't target them with
No,
attacks that jump.
I I'm not happy at all. Like because it means that you can't interact with your tactical field.
Well,
So, for example,
hmm,
this stuff uh, is very random. You know, like it's random stuff.
yeah.
These obstacles are random, like mostly. And so somebody will like get lucky and have good position of these obstacles for him, and another guy will not be lucky because he has a lot of obstacles and he can position his units as
Yeah.
he want. Maybe he want to destroy them to position his units how he want, but he can't. And another one, flying units, and for example, like ghost, ghost units that like can go throughout obstacles, and flying units could fly. If these obstacles will not be destroyed, they
Yeah.
got like a very big advantage
So
because they can just fly, and you will just what like you will not be defended by them, but they can attack you, but they will have defense because you can destroy it. Like I don't like this.
it
Like
seems
small obstacles.
strange because if we're gonna be sieging things, that in my mind in a lot of games means you can add obstacles into like the tactical
Yeah,
layer from the strategic layer. But if you can't destroy them, then I really hope that's not how the sieges will end up playing out. But
no,
we don't know. It could be that you just press a button and then that's how you target obstacles, and nobody has done it in any of the streams. It seems
yeah,
like
yeah,
unlikely, but it could very well be that you just press Alt or Shift or
yeah.
combination of the two to target obstacles.
I hope it will be like that. I hope it will be like Age of Wonders 3 and they will not change anything. Because if they change it, it will be like not good at all.
That could be one of the things that if it is invincible, I could see a lot of people in the community saying, "Hey, could you please like change that?" and that
Mhm.
could be one of the areas that they would end up, I think, being more willing to change after the game has come out. They've probably made it for good reasons, and I have a feeling that it's got to do with maybe the jumping attacks because that was always one of my biggest frustrations, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't like getting hit by Malictors that are what 12 hexes away when they should only be able to shoot what 7 hexes away.
I, yeah, I feel in this game we will have not these abilities that can target obstacles and deal a lot of damage to units which are 2 hexes like back. I think it will be not like we will not have this so much units
Yeah.
like in Planetfall, because in Planetfall particularly every unit with arc attack and mod that gives you jumping attack can do this, but I think it will be fixed in this.
Yeah. One of the other tips they brought up, I think, right after they're talking about, oh, throw your hero in danger, was it's going to be hard to kill units that have a lot of armor using physical attacks, so use magic on them. I know that might just be very obvious to a lot of people, but I do think that that's worth highlighting. But also the fact that if you have units with high physical um, defense, high armor, then you're going to want to send them to clear out things like monster dens, things like spiders who don't have access to magic. Um,
Uh,
so if you got
I
like, yeah, magic
most,
dealing guys,
most of all, I think that you should pick the tome that gives you enchantment for magic resistance.
yeah. That sounds like something
Like
that is going
this
to be
guy,
not available like in a lot of
in this
aspects of the
video,
game, so super valuable.
yeah, in this video, guy took like very physical defensive oriented build,
Hmm.
but maybe he should like take the magical defensive build. So
Maybe a
he
little
has
bit.
like in defensive mode, the shield guy have like +2 base, +3 from shield defense, and plus like it will be 5
Hmm.
defense, not 6. Not a big deal, but it will be like 3 resistance and
Yeah.
not 0. It's pretty okay because the difference I could say difference from 6 and 5 armor is hmm,
It's a few percentage points. I think it's like 53 down to 47. Have you seen this tooltip when
yeah,
they hover over defense or resistance? It's pretty cool actually. It gives you the percent of reduction that you're gonna get from if somebody
yeah,
just deals with the armor right there. And
it's
that's
6%.
cool.
It's 6% difference. The 6 defense give you 47% reduction, and the 5 armor gives you 41
Yeah.
resistance. So it's 6% difference. Not
Yeah.
really a big deal if you are talking about 2 or 3 magical resistance, because as we know, like in math, the first 1, 2, or 3 resistance give you the more percentage than
Yeah.
our. So it's cooler to have like not 6 defense but 0 resistance. It's cooler to have 5 defense and 3 resistance. It's
Yeah.
like better.
That's how I used to think about it specifically before Age of Wonders Planetfall. Age of Wonders 3, I was like, okay, you need a little bit of everything. But I know some people say it's like you effectively, every point of armor is similar to getting another point of armor before that because you get 11% more effective HP. Um, but it's complicated with the way the math works out. You can remove armor, you can remove resistance, and then it's like,
The point,
that
the point
point was
is
never
that,
there.
for example, what your enemy has. For example, your
Hmm.
enemy has only physical damage. Obviously, you will like, I don't need magic resistance. Give me physical resistance.
Yeah.
Give me defense. Like it's like in every part of the game, you need to adapt to your opponent's strategy.
Yeah, and you might be opening yourself up to a counter. They could be like, okay, I don't have any magic damage, and then like, when you're actually ready to fight them, all of a sudden there's a bunch of mages. Um,
Mhm.
but that's hard to actually plan for. Like that, everything just has to kind of fall into place perfectly for it to work out like that. Um, so next we have the retaliation, which you mentioned earlier. The two swords there are indicating that that unit can hit another unit twice. I think one of
Yes.
these spiders ended up attacking it, and the spider would do one attack, then I think that's an Anvil guard would attack back, then the spider did its second attack, and the Anvil guard did its second attack, and I believe the spider was able to get a third attack off.
Yeah, you
But
see
after that,
that?
once that unit was attacked, it was done retaliating. The two swords just
Y-
means it can hit twice
Yes,
in that turn.
but that means that you can retaliate twice only for two attacks.
Yeah.
If a unit gives you only one attack, you will answer him only once,
Yeah.
and it's it's like a skill, super growth
hmm
skill. Yes, it's magic. Yeah, as I remember, magic
I
skill.
have no
It's
idea where it
plus
came
10.
from. I just saw that in a Discord somewhere.
It's no, it's Tom. It's from Tom. It's
hmm
from Tom that this guy took. Stone Tom, as I remember.
Right.
Uh, um, Stone, yeah, Stone Tom.
It does appear like when they add retaliation, you get a charge of retaliation, and from what we've seen, there's nothing like I believe it's tireless in Age of Wonders Planetfall where you just have endless
No, 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 no,
retaliations.
no, no, no. Tireless gives you like as much retaliations as you want.
Yeah.
You can retaliate every time. Now you can retaliate only twice.
Yeah, it
It's
could
too
be
good. It's too
two,
good. Yeah.
three, or who knows how many swords you can really stack up on a unit. There may be a limitation to it. Like you can have three stacks of a certain modifier. Maybe you can only have three stacks
Mm,
of extra retaliation.
I don't think that it will be like a big deal because you can retaliate only for three targets mostly.
Yeah.
Like in Age of Wonders, why the retaliation and titles was very like cool in Age of Wonders because, for example, for champion that
Yeah.
have titles, for outbound, he's flying, and in planetfall, flying units is like in another part of the tactical map. Like
hmm
we have flying part and ground part, and he could retaliate the ground units who can like be in seven ground units, like
Yes.
one before, like one on the hex, like when the champion is but
That's a lot of
flying
units it can hit.
around it, and one radius. Yeah, in this game you can see that we talked about it, like on the dragon screen,
hmm
that retaliation is only like three swords of retaliation
Yeah.
for a dragon, for example. And
All
I
right.
don't think that every unit, like we will have a lot of units with all around awareness. Because if dragon don't have all around awareness, what unit will have it? A
Yeah.
dragon is like mythical unit,
Something
one of the
without
strongest.
eyes. Something from the spirit realm or the void or whatever they call it in Age of Wonders. Maybe they don't need they don't need to see behind them to hit behind them. I could see it
Yeah.
being something that's added like in one of the expansion packs too. Who knows? Because Tireless I think came with one of the DLCs. Maybe they'll save something like that for later.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I have my screenshots about the hero screen and the skills that you mentioned earlier.
Hero, yeah, hero now instead of like how we have in not in Planetfall, in third Age of Wonders 3.
hmm
Uh, hero in Age of Wonders 3 has basic attack. That's all. Like you don't like even he doesn't have weapon. He has like simple attack. But now you will have a basic weapon, and you can choose the basic weapon, and your attack will change because of it. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I think actually I should have probably moved the ones that show off the items that you can choose at the beginning to this part because it is
Yeah.
actually relevant to the discussion. But yeah, no, you can choose like I think five different options as a Wizard King, and then the Mortal Champions, some of their decisions from earlier can change the options in the equipment screen. This this guy took the Great Hammer one, which takes up both hands. It's you can't have like a shield in one hand and a sword in the other when you take the Great Hammer. And what's interesting here, what I noticed pretty quickly is they've put it so that mounts takes up a different slot than your weapons, which I think makes
Mhm.
sense. In Planetfall, a lot of the vehicles would have guns on them and they'd act like another unit. But in this one, it's more about like adding a mobility and maybe a skill or two to a unit as is.
Like in Age of Wonders 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've gone back to
and
that.
yeah, and now you can see like what I am talking about, like 5, 10, 15, and 20 hero ultimate skills.
Yeah, right up
So
the
these
left here.
levels, yeah, these levels will be very important. And like I think like 16 level hero and 19 level hero will not have the same difference like 14 and 15 level.
Yeah,
Like
I know what you mean.
this skill will be very strong. Like hero that is level 10 is much stronger than hero from level like 9.
Right. Yeah, this is the signature skill that they get at level 5, and you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier. It's quite good. You get the 10 HP points for the units that are close to the hero
And
using this skill. It is a full action. I mean, it makes sense. It's a pretty good skill. And then they get the regeneration, which was, do you know how much HP every turn? It's like 8 or 10
yeah,
points.
uh 10 hit points you have. Regeneration. It's like 5 level or 10 level or 15 level skill. Yeah, 5 level skill.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That when you level up your hero to to level 5, he can heal units on your stack, so you have less problems in the future battles, because like every battle your units can be like healed. It's very cool.
I could
And
see
also,
these having general like
and
hero
also,
skills and
yeah,
culture hero skills and other things too.
look at that. We got only one skill point, and every skill cost one skill point. So we'll not like need to calculate how skill points I need to like save for another. I think that every skill costs one skill point, and
Wow.
you can just like use it.
How did I miss that? There's also a reset skills button. What does that do? I hadn't seen that earlier. Does that mean
I
that
think I
you can
think
respec a character? No
I
way.
think no, I think it will be mostly in single player. In multiplayer, I think it you can turn off it, or some modders will fix it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you no, to undo that in multiplayer. No, 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 no,
I should just made a
no, no,
video
no,
called
no, no,
Reset
no, no,
Skills.
no.
That's absurd. I can't believe I missed that.
Okay.
So at this point, I just took a picture of a couple of the units that they ended up showing off before they
Yeah.
hopped into another
Okay.
fight here.
Interesting. 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 Siege magic. Magic that you can like broke gates, for example. Maybe it's like that. Maybe with some of his attacks, he can attack like gates, because as I remember in Age of Wonders 3, you can't attack like some fortifications with every unit,
Yeah,
or it was like very low damage, something like that. I don't remember now, but I think that this unit will be can be specialized on attacking the fortifications.
that's pretty cool. He's kind of like a catapult that doesn't just catapult.
No, no,
He
just
does
yeah,
things in
yeah.
the fight.
And he has like obviously he has like fire flame strike, which is single action attack, and fire bolts, which is repeating attack. And it's pretty cool. Tier 2, pretty cool. And see, he costs you 12 gold and 2 mana
Two
every turn.
mana for a unit that you
Yeah.
build. Interesting. I hadn't seen that. Those are really interesting numbers. So yeah, that means that you're gonna have to, if you want the units that deal magic damage, you're gonna need some mana income one way or another. I feel like you look at the top of the screen there, they're making 44 mana a turn. I mean, 2 mana out of 44 at this point in the match is it's not It's
No,
not
the
nothing.
point
It's pretty significant actually.
yeah, the point is that we don't know how they put their cities, maybe the bad position of cities.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
It's
and
possible.
yeah, okay, like let's look at Stone Golem. Stone
Yeah.
Golem, like if you can see, it's not a clear Stone Golem because he has 3 runes. I think it's 3 enchantments.
Oh,
So that I think the basic golem will have only just 12 damage, not 12 damage and 4 fire damage,
makes
like he
sense.
has.
Searing
Yeah,
blades would be the yeah, I agree. And then
yeah,
vitality is just
and
extra
he has
HP.
rune of vitality and of industry. Oh no, it's not enchantments, it's runes. Like we have some on the stream was told that we have some special resources, runes that gives big bonuses for everything. Like it's like doctrine.
Oh,
Maybe it's
it's
like that.
maybe like yeah, I could see that. You got your mods and then your doctrines. Yeah, they're gonna do similar things but use different systems to get there. I loved the way this unit looked. I loved the weapon and how it was spinning in his hand. These units are
It's
beautiful.
it's because yeah, it's because of enchantment. The enchantment makes you beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
Mhm.
me excited to see all the other ones that I'm completely unaware of at this point. We've only seen so much, and it's just like a sliver.
Yeah.
I'll
The
taste.
Spellbreaker is a neutral unit.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and he is elite. Yeah, and but he has interesting attack. Like look, light, fire, and I don't know what is the and last one,
It could
blight.
be celestial, I think, maybe. It's like, your lightning and then your good magic, maybe. Your holy magic. I could see that being holy.
Mm-hmm.
I forget exact. It's like a it's white, so yeah, I feel like that would fit.
Mm-hmm. You know
But
what I'm thinking when I'm looking like go a little bit lower,
mhm.
like lower. When
Yeah.
I look on the bone dragon,
Okay.
I think, I hope, I really hope the bone dragon is the weakest dragon that
Cuz
is
it's not
like
scary enough.
like in like in how they call it, Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Like a
Mhm.
lot of memes about how stone bone dragons are bad because because yeah, it's like he killed he killed him with tier 1 unit, which tanked him, and with a hero. Like
Yeah.
what?
I think
What?
when I was
It,
rewatching it, he got every attack from the battle mage. Every attack missed him. So he was hiding perfectly in cover and the dice rolls worked out perfectly. So it could have been that it's just
because
incredibly lucky, but I also know what you mean. The dragons, you wouldn't expect that to work even if you are lucky. That's a lot of units.
tier 4 elite, tier 4 max level tier 4, not just tier 4
Oh,
like basic. It's max level tier 4 unit, and you
yeah.
killed him. Like tier 1 unit can't tank tier 4 unit.
It's
Like
pretty
that's the
crazy.
point. Yeah,
You're
that's the
saying the
point. The tier 4
gold
unit just
bar is like the XP, right? Right underneath where it says elite, tier 4 elite.
yeah,
Hmm.
that I'm talking about. So it has max his HP. So it will not have 200 HP. His max HP is 160.
Hmm. I don't think he's been
And yeah,
enchanted or anything or modified, so that could be part of why he was less scary than he could have been.
I'm okay. I'm okay when a hero is tanking the dragon because hero can have like very good shield and weapon,
Yeah.
and he can, like have additional shields, so he can tank it. But
Hmm.
not for 1 unit. Like of course it has a lot of bonuses. He buffs him, but yeah, I think like I hope that the Bone Dragon is the like the weakest dragon
They
that
may
we can
change
see.
it. I don't know if we
No.
know.
I like the
Yeah.
Bone Dragon, but I
Okay.
think that he's the weakest one.
Would make sense. Yeah, like why show off the scariest ones first? No, let's just get those guys out of the way, and then we can save the best for later. So Abducting Cyclone, I think you like the. I haven't talked to you about this, but I have a feeling you're gonna like this operation or spell, right? This is like Phase Manipulator's abductability.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's costing 15 mana and 15 casting points, so I don't know. That seems like not cheap, but not super expensive, and it can really change
Like,
the your opportunities on
okay,
the battlefield.
uh, let's speak how the casting points, how you can get them.
Hmm.
Because in Age of Wonders 3, it was a special hero, like special research
Yeah.
that gives you additional mana cap, like to, to storage your mana, because you can't like storage it. Like you have a cap
Hmm.
and like make it bigger and give additional +10 for every level, +10 magic points. And we didn't see anything like that in this.
Hmm. Right. In the streams,
In
they didn't
this,
show it off,
yes,
did they?
yeah, yeah. We have only. Oh, no. Maybe it is in development 3.
Hmm.
Maybe I forgot about it. Maybe yeah.
I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing those details. I was just noticing here that you can favorite spells to bring them up to the top of the list. That's a pretty cool UI change, because there's usually ones that you're gonna want to use more than others, like constrictor spam, right?
Mm.
Putting that at the top will just save you a little bit of time scrolling. We talked earlier about the threat zones. Basically,
Mhm.
it looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
most units have three sides of
Mhm.
them that are
Yeah.
considered the threat
And
zone. The one in front, a little bit to the right in front, and a little bit to the left and in front of the unit.
again, tier 4 unit can be flanked.
Hmm.
We will like get it in mind. It's okay. It's okay, yeah, but we will get it in mind.
Yeah, don't want to forget that because flanking is a lot of like extra damage. And that's pretty much all of the screenshots from the streams. There are a few things here that I pulled out from Twitter before the stuff I
Mhm.
wanted to talk about in the streams. The main one was the fact that there's this cool little button that they added for
Yeah, it's for
streamers.
you.
That's I
It's
honestly really a big deal because I'm tabbing out of Age of Wonders Planetfall all the time while streaming, and I hate that the audio cuts out. It just sounds very like there's something wrong. So that's cool.
like yeah, you special for you.
Makes me wonder what else
Exactly.
there is in there that I haven't seen yet. I also wanted to mention, like, if you haven't heard yet, that a lot of creators are going to be getting keys on, or they have keys, and they're going to be playing the game on April 22nd and 29th, right before the game comes out on May 2nd. So that's like the week before, and maybe a little
Yeah.
bit before that, maybe the 2 weekends leading up to it, I think. Um,
Yeah. We will see it and maybe it will answer a lot of questions.
I noticed that Quill showed off a little bit more when he was scrolling through the inhabitant traits, so I did take
Mhm.
a couple screenshots of some of the things I
Yeah.
noticed here. I was I
Yeah.
didn't know what No Respite did, so I did want to talk a little bit about that and how it affects natural healing. Um, I don't know what that necessarily means by natural healing, but I assume it means like at the end of a strategic turn, you usually get 4 or 6 HP
Yeah.
back. But I think on
Yeah.
this map, that just doesn't happen. But I believe that doesn't mean you can't heal in the tactical layer. When you go
Yes,
into the
of course.
tactical layer, you should be able to
No.
consume corpses. I don't think that counts as natural healing. The
No.
terminology is
No.
not particularly clear, but I believe that would make sense in terms of mechanics.
No. I think first of all, as I know, you can choose or not to choose these
Hmm.
things. So you can just not choose anything.
Yeah.
So you will have like basic wall without any minuses. Like for if anybody doesn't know, like I'm mostly multiplayer player,
Hmm.
and all my thoughts is about the multiplayer position.
Yeah, so you're
And
gonna need a simple thing, probably nothing too complicated.
not a simple thing. For example, if you get you can do a C map when anybody know that it's C map, for
Hmm.
example, for multiplayer, because they need to build their heroes in a C map,
Yes.
and that's everything like uh, how it's called. Everything is going from up. So if you put like less neutral cities that you can like capture or make vassals and then like integrate in your empire. So the leaders and the fractions, which is playing by integration,
Hmm.
become less strong. So all these settings of the world would be very discussed,
Yeah.
and maybe if we know that some of strategies will be broken, we will like turn off them
Hmm.
because by making some special settings for the world, like obviously I don't think that for example everybody will like the win from like by killing demon prince, for example,
Yeah.
like we have it in inhabitants trait. Yeah, special victory. Mm.
I like the idea of hitting random on just like all of these, and then
No, no,
whatever
no.
you get, you just deal
I
with. But it just doesn't
no.
work super great in multiplayer to play
Yeah,
like that.
I think in most multiplayer games it would be just shut down
Yeah, I
because
did
for
want to.
example
Hmm.
somebody spawns near it and he has more chances to win,
Yeah.
like, or somebody has like better early game so he can like do it faster
Hmm.
or something like that. But like I just like, it's not even like doomsday, because in doomsday you can like you need to kill your opponent.
Yeah.
But this, it's like it's very interesting. Like in single player,
Hmm.
it will be good. Like ah, it's a very interesting. Like at least once I will play and try to do. I think I will do it. I will try to do this for victories.
Well, I think when you complete some of these, you unlock other ones. So that's one of the interesting things. And you may, if people are interested in trying a map with you in multiplayer, I don't know how that works. You may need to unlock it, or one of you might need to unlock it. So
Maybe
it's something that you may have to play around with in order to get the multiplayer
maybe
maps that you want.
yeah,
I like that.
maybe it will be like
They
like maybe it will be like a fun game when everybody will be allied, so
Mhm.
you can't kill each other, and and your goal is to make only this victory. So the victory this is the only way you can make victory.
Right.
Only in this way I see it's like in a multiplayer.
I could see that. That'd be funny. I did want to mention before we move on to the other set of screenshots that I really like that they have characters involved in certain what they called presence traits. This one has Edward Portsmouth and Quillock Mini Marshes, and I believe both of those characters have been in previous Age of Wonders games. And I think that that will really just make certain worlds feel a little bit more unique, more lived in, because these people have history. This isn't just some random person that you put together 5 minutes ago. This is somebody who's been in the Age of Wonders lore for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Infestations coming up every 10 turns sounds awesome. I like that idea. Uh, Curse of Undeath is just another thing that they mentioned that we don't know a lot of details about, and I'm curious what that means. But it probably means that when you die, a unit comes back. Like it's like
Yeah,
a
it's like
echo of whatchamacallit,
yeah,
right?
it's like Echo in Signumbra units. Yeah, mergers and free cities in free city units. So free city units, it will be harder to capture the free cities
Hmm.
with this.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
and
big deal.
mergers will be tough. And
Change
mergers will be tough.
Definitely change the
Maybe
pace.
it's really interesting. This is really interesting. It makes the game harder,
Hmm.
but maybe in PBM game, maybe in PBM game we can play with it.
Yeah, I'm not really
But
sure how free city units are going to fit into multiplayer. It makes me nervous with my, preference of simultaneous, but that's a tangent that we don't need to go down.
yeah, in PBM,
I,
and also we have a big question about the militia. How
hmm.
strong militia are? Because
Or are
Marauders,
they in there? I think they are, but do we know yet?
I hope they are.
Yeah,
Because in Age of Wonders we don't have militia, but I hope we have militia. Militia was so cool.
yeah.
It's great.
So I took a lot of screenshots in Quill's stream of all the different modifiers and things, and I was thinking we could talk about that stuff here. But the video is getting a bit longer in general, and I feel like we're kind of would just be rehashing a lot of the points that other YouTubers made. And these are YouTubers who've actually played the game for, who knows how many hours, but they should have a decent understanding of how these traits interact in general. There may have been a couple things that they missed, so if there's like anything in particular, Rommel, that you want to talk about before we move past the mind
Yes,
traits,
yes.
body traits, and culture
First,
traits, we can hone in on those. But in general, I would recommend people watch Party Elite because he covered them very quickly and clearly, and Potato McWhiskey talked about some of the potential synergies. I thought he highlighted some pretty good ones.
I have some stuff to say.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, when we choose our culture, we have some bonuses. When we choose our tomes, we have bonuses too.
Right.
I don't know why we need these bonuses, but I think we will have some future pluses and minuses. If we have some bonuses, we don't have some of them, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have 1+1. I know the barbarian has chaos and nature. The green one is nature.
Right.
The this industrials has order. I think. Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense to me. I think so. Yeah, chaos nature, maybe like that's goodness or like high society type things. It's not necessarily being good, but kind of like they see themselves as elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's because they have some good arguments. Maybe it's not. Who knows? It's up to you to kind of decide the story.
Like what I'm talking about, that we really don't know why you need these points,
Yeah,
what bonuses and pluses, minuses, and other stuff you got from them.
I think
Like
that's
we
income
only know.
towards your empire skills, but I don't know that. I feel like you might get one of those points each at the end of your turn on a tracker, kind of like with growing your pops
But
and
yeah,
once you cross it,
the,
then you get a new pick.
the biggest question, like you need to multiply them to get income for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah,
So you need like a little bit of shadow, a little bit of nature, a little bit of water, a little bit of chaos, or you need to like max chaos or max nature or max something.
yeah. No, I think you kind of
This
have
is
to go
interesting.
for all or extremely balanced. I don't know if going in between those two strategies is actually going to work out super great in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But it may be going for just two things, having like a main thing and like a backup is optimal. We really need to play around with it more and understand how these systems unlock more skills before we can really make us have a strong opinion on that. One of the interesting mind traits that I thought is worth talking about is the one that reduces status effects. I think that one is going to be actually not as good as it appears because it could be a lot of status effects only last for one turn. If it only lasts for one turn,
No,
um,
no. I'm talking about the not status effects like resistance. You
right.
need like units with a lot of shields, like defense. Need resistance, not status effects. Units with a lot of resistance need shields.
Mhm.
So I think like you combine something like that.
Right. I feel like when I was watching other YouTubers talk about this particular point, they all seem to think that this was pretty good, but there's like going to be a lot of situations where this doesn't actually make a difference. And that means, you could have you could have had two extra shields on all of your culture units, but instead you went for something that actually didn't make a difference. But who knows? Maybe keeping yourself from having three turns of damage over time could be the a game changer, or it could be that your morale was reduced by a status effect and it was going to last 5 turns, and now
Yeah.
it only lasts four. That's pretty significant.
Also, one last thing.
Hmm.
Look at the tomes. In the tomes, you have like 5 things to unlock.
Yeah, I'll go
You
down to
have
that.
a battle skill that gives like look at the first tome, for example, tome of the horde.
Yeah, it's
It's
gonna take a
like
second. Um, Before Tome of
lower.
the Horde, I did want to make sure we covered this really quickly because it's more tied to what
It's
we
just
were
just
just going over, the
uh,
society traits. But let's talk about Tome of
yeah.
the Horde in like a minute. Not I don't need to say much. Just wanted to say that you can unlock more society traits. It looks like you start with 3 options from each affinity, but there is a fourth one you can get. I think Runesmiths, Wonder Architects, and Great Builders are things you can start with, but the Perfectionist Artisans, that's something that they unlocked throughout playing the game. And there's going to be other things like mind and body traits, I believe, and presence traits and those kinds of things that will unlock as you play the game more. This may not even be anywhere near a complete list of all the options you can pick between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I like this image. Somebody in Discord put this all
Yeah.
together. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
Great.
the
Great.
greatest quality, but it's it's useful if you want to actually like weigh the options a little bit. Once again, I think Potato McWhiskey and Party Elite did a really good job talking about these details. So we can go to the next
Tom.
thing you want
Yeah.
to talk about, which is tomes. Yes,
Like first Tom the Horde.
yes,
Like look
so
at that.
good. Might
Battle
zoom in a little bit
battle
more.
seer battle seer training. It's hero skill. Tier 1 units in your army gain plus 20% damage.
Massive.
No, it's not massive. It means that tomes affected by your main hero skills.
Hmm.
Or not only main heroes.
Oh, I see. You mean it. Oh, right. Yeah, that is an interesting nuance that I hadn't picked up on. That isn't just going to apply to your commander, but all of the other guys that you hire. Not
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Also, look at that. You have a summon hound master. It's
Yeah.
summoned unit scout. Okay, pounds like look at spawn kin. Spawn kin.
Hmm.
It's your race transformation. We have a new mechanic of race transformation that your own race will have bonus.
Yeah.
It's like it's not even like a doctrine. It's like a great spell on your race. It increased damage and increased number of units in your stack. So, for example, it will be like 4 golems, not 3. So it will be easier to cut your damage, but your like basic damage will be higher.
I'm pretty
It's a
interested in seeing more about transformations because it says it's a minor race transformation, and to me that
yeah.
might indicate that you could have like minor and major, and maybe they can work at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. I don't know if there's like three
Mm-hmm.
slots, a minor, major, and medium or something like that, but I could
No,
definitely see something like that happening with
we
transformations.
saw like in these screenshots we saw only tier 1 tomes.
Okay.
We have tier 2, tier 3 tomes because we saw it in the streams.
There's
Remember?
54 tomes, I think, and yeah, there's like two of each affinity in the at the very beginning of the game that you can choose between, right?
No, I'm talking about that we can see only tier 1. We have higher tier tomes with
Hmm.
like cooler stuff which we haven't seen before.
It does say
And I
that
like it. Mm-hmm.
the
Like
minor race transformation, it's incompatible with super growth, which I believe may be another transformation. So it looks like to me that they can be used alongside each other. I don't know if there's like a limit to that or not. It would make sense if there was, kind of like modding.
mm-hmm. Like also Fury of the Horde. All friendly tier 1 units become 1 strength. Buff spell. What is buff spell? Buff spell is spell on your army or like doctrine
Yeah,
or something. It should I think it's like no, it's not like doctrine. Or
right.
like doctrine. Hard to say. No, it's not. No, it's not like doctrine because you have Hound Master, the same icon, cost one something. What is one something?
I think it's got to be when you're in a tactical fight. This is a buff spell to make your units
Mm-hmm.
all better. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like when all synthesis units gain extra armor or shields or something like that. I think it just will apply to all of your friendly units on the field, not just your units, but I think like allied units as well. One interesting thing I don't know if you've noticed is there is I think a lock on here somewhere. Right now, I don't think any of these texts have been locked into place, but I think there's like a place on the icons for the tomes where you can say, I want to lock this one in place. I think that means when I next can pick between my technologies, I'd like that to be one of my three
Oh,
picks I can
I,
choose between. That's pretty
I
cool.
just saw one thing. Just saw it.
Hmm.
A Demolisher. This unit attacks damage fortified obstacles, so obstacles can be destroyed.
We
Okay,
know
okay.
now. All right, well, that's good to know.
Okay. Whole discussion. Whole discussion ends. My bad.
No,
Sorry.
it's a good point because we hadn't seen it yet, and I was curious about that. And I think that we did talk about some interesting things, and now we do have a
And
definitive answer. Um,
also
the jumping damage
look
for similar
look
but different.
for another stuff. Every tome has special 5 stuff, like 5 research things that you
Hmm.
can research in it. And um you have different things. So Tome of Horde have a race transformation, but doesn't have any enchantment.
Right. Yeah, it's more for like let's get stuff now, and then
Mhm.
enchantments typically come in the game a little bit
And
later.
also, look, we spoke about the draft mechanic. Yeah,
Hmm.
we
Yeah.
have production and draft. The draft is production for units.
Hmm.
We have special buildings, like most of buildings give us production and draft equal,
Yeah.
but some special buildings give, for example, only draft. So you will like do spam your units faster, but it's
Hmm.
not your basic production. It's special building.
It's interesting. This goes on a province because that's like a sector upgrade, but to me, it
Mm-hmm.
looks kind of like a building that would go in the center hex. Like I don't, I don't see how that would benefit from the environment that you
Mm-hmm.
place the camp in,
Mm-hmm.
the province that you put it in. But maybe there's things that I'm missing here. I would just noticing that you get a bonus of +2 chaos affinity, which I think means you'll be able to unlock more chaos empire skills a little bit quicker. Once again, that's one of those things that I don't think we've got too much information on, but I'm pretty sure it's just a threshold that you build towards, and once you pass it, then you can take another pick in that empire tree. Um,
Also,
mhm.
what I can say to you, that Tome of Pyromancy has 6 things you can research.
Oh,
Every other tome have no. Tome of Evocation has 6.
Faith has
Of
6.
Cryomancy, Tome of Souls have 5. So some tier 1 tomes have 5 things. Some tier 1 tomes has 6 things that you can unlock.
That's a really interesting decision because that must mean the ones that have 5 have some slightly better options or something like that.
It means that you will have less random.
Mhm. That's a good point. Yeah, it's less random. You can predict more of what you're gonna get, make more of a plan.
Because you have like you need to choose from 3 things. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's things that some toms are stronger in a point that they have like different more variability, because Tome of Pyromancy has enchantment for melee units and
Mhm.
for range units. It's fire blades and fire arrows. It's the same enchantment, but one of them gives bonus for melee units, other one is for range units.
So I'm thinking I might take Tome of Enchantment in my first game because of the emphasis that Tom made on how good Secret Arrows is. I believe when he was doing one of the gameplay streams, he was he was like talking about the people who kind of um, always take the same options, taking Secret Arrows because it's just having extra range. It's powerful.
Yeah,
That's pretty good in general. Like when you could ever
I
do
will
that
took
in Planetfall, I
I,
think I would. I usually did.
I will took Pyromancy and will burn the wall.
See how that goes. But yeah, these are all similar with some little variations. I think pretty much all of them, if not all of them, have a ability to summon a unit, and these are not tactical summons that disappear at the end of the fight. I believe these summons are things that you summon on the strategic layer, and then they can do
Mm-hmm.
multiple fights, not just one fight.
Yeah, summon spell it's like a strategic summon
Yeah,
mostly.
and I
Of
think
course.
it's going to be really useful for team games multiplayer. Having everybody have that like access to a summon will mean that they can actually play the way they want to rather than saying, okay, I need to pick one of 4 secret techs out of 8 that actually has a summon, or if I don't pick that secret tech, then I need to pick a starting brace that actually gives me a summon like Devar or something, because it's super useful to get a unit across a
Oh
map
yeah,
to
yeah.
something that's
Oh,
in danger.
In your screenshots, when
Hmm.
you have like lower,
Hmm.
I can see why we need these points of chaos or something.
Okay.
Because, for example, Rite of War, Chaos Rite, instantly summons a bandit army under your control to your front city.
Which one?
Right, lower. It's a Rite of War. It's not in the tome even.
Oh, I see. It's below
I don't know
tomes.
where it is, but I found it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why
Yes.
we need chaos points. It costs you 110 Imperium and 80 chaos points.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I missed that actually. So if it's
So
unavailable, does that mean this person doesn't make chaos, but they have it? That's so weird. What does this mean exactly?
I don't know how he get it, but like you have something that you need to like to do this, like collect this chaos or other things.
Yeah, I think 110 Imperium sounds pretty expensive in general, but getting a whole stack of units, yeah, that sounds awesome. I really want to see more about this.
The main thing that in this game we don't have production bonuses that we have in multiple plan for.
Mm-hmm.
So basic stack of units are weaker only because it's lower tier. Because
Yeah.
you can like cast like summon them, and after that give them enchantment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it will be in your command. Will your racial bonuses, if some of the units will be from your race,
Yeah.
will have your racial bonuses? It's interesting questions that we will like find answer later, I think.
Man, yeah, I've got so many questions. I can't wait to see the next stream. The streams are coming in quite a while from now, but I bet they'll fly by. The last month and a half has gone pretty quickly for me. These are pretty interesting. Somebody got some screenshots of elemental units and ethereal units and some of the things that are associated with those classes. If you get an elemental, they can't bleed, poison, or be diseased. Kind of makes sense. Elementals are
Yeah,
just like a pile of rocks
it's
or like
logic.
the wind or fire. Like, how can fire bleed? It just can't.
Also, I like that we have a lot of units with minuses and pluses for different type of damage. Not
Yeah.
just physical. Like we have physical and like light, dark, like lightning, frost, fire damage, and like we have a lot of units that have like different problems with particular type of damage.
Yeah.
And
No,
they're
like most ethereal units won't just have +2 spirit resistance and -14 resistance. There's going to be other factors that impact their resistances in general.
Also, what I want to say to you,
Mm-hmm.
that that's why we will not, in multiplayer games, we will not put the like type of monsters which will like mostly be in our world.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like undead units hate fire. They have minus fire resistance.
Yes.
And you just take Tome of Pyromancy and use it against, like, put a lot of undead units on your map, and you like in an advantage position because of it.
Yeah, I think the dragon, if we find him, he had a bit of weakness to fire.
-4, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah?
here you can see it, I think, in the middle. That looks like -4 fire and then -4 spirit resistance. 7 physical. What is that 7 for? Is that physical resistance? It can't be.
No, 7 is status resistance.
Status resistance. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I think this UI is really clean. It's a little small, but I think that actually allows you to pay attention to the things that are slightly more important in general.
Yeah, and like look at that, it's very big problem because for him,
Mm-hmm.
because he has 7 resistance basic,
Yeah.
and -4 from fire, so he will like have only 3 from fire damage. So really resistance, it's even not like tier 1 unit. It's like a very like not tanky tier 1 unit.
Yeah.
So I think these enchantments, this stuff, it will be in this plus resistance will be very, very, very important.
So we're
With
got some screenshots of some of the cosmetics here that I wanted to just briefly
eh,
talk about. I think it's cool that they have some cosmetics here. I know some people would think that it's kind of silly that they're taking time to build assets like that for fans of these streamers, but I think it actually it promotes the game in a way that I consider like not destructive in any way, shape, or form. This isn't pay to win. This is just like watch and get something extra on top of it and get you excited
a
for the
lot,
game, right?
a lot of people like cosmetics. I can say that I bought like pre-orders a premium edition just because of DLCs.
Yeah. And
I don't like really bothered myself that I will get some additional cosmetics, but it's okay. It is good that that it is like okay.
I
We
haven't
have it.
seen anything like it before, and I think that it's smart. It's fun. I'm open to these types of things. Like
I I think this is the part we have like unit descriptions. Like you have a discussion with some guy about them, and in Planetfall, it's like very like good unit descriptions, yeah.
mhm.
But I didn't read them because I like was interesting into the game. I was not interested in the unit descriptions, but some people liked it,
Yeah.
and it's okay that like they think about all people.
Mhm.
They think about multiplayer people, about single player people, about people who like cosmetics. So let it be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's in general Triumph is they do some cool stuff. I like a lot of the decisions that I've seen around this game. I had some pictures here of like your options when you're picking your ruler. Champions have things that are based off of their own decisions. Like I think this Tyrant's
Mhm.
Sword and Shield comes from the fact that we're dealing with a feudal person, maybe. That would make sense, right? Feudal longsword, feudal shield. Maybe this is somebody, a champion, that picked the feudal start.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you have like your additional bonuses from additional skills from the
Hmm.
weapon you choose.
Yeah.
So you choose wisely.
I mean, this makes sense.
Also,
Like,
you know,
this seems like a champion. This doesn't seem like a wizard right here. The fire
mm,
staff, fire orb above is pretty similar to blight staff, blight orb, and it must have something to do with the tome they picked, right? Whereas this other pick is more based
mm,
on maybe culture. I think that would make the most sense to me.
also what I wanted to say that you don't have on your screenshots
Hmm.
that we have a lot of races, and every race have their special like traits. Like orcs can do some stuff, elves can do some stuff, humans can do some stuff, but I like that you can change them.
Yeah. I think it's fun. I know a lot of people are like there should be something that is inherent to each of the
Yeah, a lot
forms,
of
but I
people
feel like in the long run this is actually going to feel much more
no,
freeing and like
yeah,
enjoyable.
because you want to like play orc mage, but you can't in most games you can't play orc mage because like orcs are not mage. But in this constructor, you just gave them elf traits, and they are kind of mages now, and I think it's okay.
There were a few things that Explorminate talked about in his article that I wanted to mention before we wrap up here. He mentioned how that enemy units now all act at the same time, so you don't have to wait for them all to act individually, which in my opinion is both really good and really bad because you're gonna miss things. If they all do things at the same time, I feel like you're gonna have to like unpack what actually happened in the past like I don't know 10, 20 seconds, however long it takes them to actually do all their
So,
actions.
so you have the fastest animation. It's like completely like simultaneous units attacks. Yes,
Yeah, I think you're probably not going to want fast animations unless the battle's smaller because it's just going to be overwhelming against the AI. I mean, when
I
you're
think
dealing against another player multiplayer, it's an entirely
I
different
think
situation.
no, I think. that you will play with a little bit slower at the first,
Hmm.
but when it will end slower with human players. But when it will be like when you have 100 hours, and
Hmm.
even online games, multiplayer games against like some marauders and so on, you will like use it
Yeah.
because like, you know what our units can do.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
predictable.
Another thing he mentioned is that these culture units that you get at the beginning of the game, things like the Anvil Guard, become practically useless in the late game, even with transformations. I think, if you've got a bigger map, you're more likely to get to late game and see those mythical units. But it sounded like instead of relying on just this tier 4 units, you end up getting other things like Rally the Liege type units, which are generally better than your culture units.
I
Um,
think that the main reason you want to get for bigger units, like we talk about it at the start of our stream, of our video, that higher tier units has less fighters in the particular unit, and their damage can be reduced.
yeah.
I think this is the only reason you
That
need like not only but main reason you will push uh high tier units, because tier 1 unit maybe it's very cool with like horde tome or
mhm,
something, maybe you can like play very strong with it, but with them, but for example, mm, every attack will kill one of you guy.
yeah.
With every attack you will like be like 15% less damage, for example.
I do think it's worth pointing out that he played the game for 50 hours, but when it comes to Age of Wonders games, that's really not a lot of time with it, and it's only really enough to kind of get your feet wet and to explore a couple mechanics, not all of the mechanics.
Mm,
And he was pretty open and honest that he hadn't seen too many of the
I
transformations, which
I think
should
that
make culture units better in the late game.
the main reason he played versus AI,
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
multiplayer game, like it's like you multiplies your experience because you see combos that other players did, and
yeah.
but AI can do like mortal
He did say
combos.
that the auto combat was better, that it didn't
No, no,
seem
no.
to lose
I'm
units
I'm
as
talking
much as.
about I'm talking about combos of race, special traits, abilities, skills, hero leveling. You know, like
Yeah,
when you like make something broken. AI doesn't do something broken.
yeah.
People do something broken.
100% agree. I do think it is worth noting that at least it sounds like the auto combat is better than previous ones, because that's such a that button
We will
when
see.
you click the auto resolve
I,
button, I get so nervous. I'm like, God, why did that unit die? It shouldn't die. Now I have to
I,
manual it.
I think that because we have game focused on the unit positioning, defensive mods, healing, regeneration, heroes, a lot of skills of regeneration. The auto combat is built to use them
Hmm.
because the game is built to use them, and because of that, you most likely, will not lose a unit.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
And I also know in Planetfall, a lot of the units that would die were your melee units, and melee in Age of Wonders 4 is quite different than in Age of Wonders Planetfall.
In Age of Wonders 4 will be most of units are melee.
Yeah,
So yeah.
hopefully less units die because they run ahead and nobody supports them.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
one of the last things I want to talk about here is how it sounds like the late game is actually late and mid game are actually more fun than the early game, which is a really interesting thing because most 4X games that I've ever played, I enjoy the early game the most, and then the experience just kind of goes downhill from there. Depending on the game, it can be almost unplayable to finish the late game. But for whatever reason, the the beginning of the game, it just feels a little bit more generic. And once you start to get into all the fun toys in the mid game, that's when you start to really enjoy it. And that's an accomplishment in a lot of ways. I think it's pretty easy to make the early game fun, and it's a lot harder to make the mid to late game harder, or to make that fun.
I could say that we will have specific strategies for every mm, for every time of the game, like late, mid game, and early game. Because Tom of Horde, obviously you will play early game.
Mm-hmm.
You want to kill somebody in early game, and after that, use another Tom, not Tom of Horde 2.
Yeah.
Maybe like some other Tom.
This
Because yeah, it will be like part of the strategy, and I think we will have some interesting strategies by mixing the toms
Mhm.
and how you build your hero for them.
Yeah. I think I actually saw something about tomes and how we ended up getting a screenshot of um, how tomes are actually supposed to be unlocked, but it I think depends a little bit on the map and your experience
I
with
think,
it, right?
as I remember, I don't remember. Is it on the? Hmm,
Here, I got it. I can bring it over. Copy image. I, for whatever reason, didn't put this in my list of documents. It's kind of a big deal.
mhm.
But yeah, no, like it looks like tomes are always available to tier 1 tomes are always available to unlock it. And you must have 2 tomes of the previous tier to unlock the higher tier ones. Tier 4 and 5 require you to have met an affinity threshold. So it looks like you can kind of set yourself up to go towards a tome, but I don't think you can necessarily guarantee it, right?
Mm, I want to find a research research research. Where we have research? Dev diary about research.
Yeah, that'll be coming up in the near future, I'm sure. Still
No,
got,
we had one.
did we? On research? Oh, I'll have to go back and look at that. Um, the last screenshot was the one that shows off some
Oh yeah,
buildings
yeah, yeah.
here.
Empire. I'm about Empire 3. Is the
Oh,
Tom's Empire 3? Oh no, in Empire 3 is this Empire kills that we are using.
hmm
Yeah, yeah. Now we have in Dev Diary 2, we have Empire skills, which is important to collect these specific Empire stuffs like Order, Chaos, Dark, and so on.
yeah,
And you have, yeah, and you have, yeah, to unlock it, it costs you Imperium and these points. So if you play hard Chaos, you need to like for example, if you didn't pick, if you will pick 0 order, you can't learn order like very fast,
yeah,
because a basic or basic stuff gives you +6 of this resource.
makes
6
sense.
Charles. Yeah, no, it's like on the screens, and after that you pay with Imperium and this. I will give it to you
Yeah,
now.
if you want to send me the screenshot, I can actually pull it up.
Yeah, it's not a screenshot.
Oh,
It's
okay.
picture, official form.
Right,
Like,
right.
look at.
Oh, I see what you mean here. I can bring that up pretty easily.
Yeah,
Let's
and
go to
you
this
need
part.
like for this we need these points to research it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
see it
missed it.
now. That's pretty cool that it shows you that. Yeah, I thought that I'd seen something like that. I wasn't sure if I was just like thinking that
So
would make sense. But
yeah, so you have like I don't know what +6 plus this +6 stuff cost,
mhm,
because it seems for me like it is free or cost just Imperium, but obviously if you pick Chaos traits, you like unlock Chaos faster
yeah,
because you have like Tom of like fire, Chaos trait of like Orc Cannibals, and you are Barbarian, so
yeah,
you have like at least +4.
I see what you
So
mean.
+4 chaos and +6, it's 10. So it's doubled. And as you can see, the Empire skills like higher tier cost 120.
Hmm.
So earlier skills I think will cost like 30, 50, something like that.
Yeah, if
And
that's
I
for the
think that,
fourth one, I think it's 30, 60, 90, 120. That would make sense.
yeah, because basic one is 0, and after we will go. And I think, yeah, right of the what, like right of alliance
Yeah,
8. So difference between basic 6 or 10 because of your choices is
yeah.
very big difference. It's like 8 60 66.6 difference.
Yeah, and that
So
adds up.
it's a big difference.
The last screenshot I wanted to mention is that we got a picture, I think, during PC Gamer's coverage of the game that showed off a couple buildings that hadn't been talked about. I'm sure some of these are in some of the other screenshots, like the tomes or the cultures. But if anybody has any speculation to how these might interact, what they think these might do, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Um, Thanks for joining me today, Rommel. I think we're gonna wrap up here,
Thank you.
and
Bye.
yeah, looking forward to the next one.